Welcome to Shrimperscast with me, Paul Hill, and I'm here with Derby Steve. How are we doing, Steve?
Yeah, all good, thanks, Paul. Went over to Roots Hall last night for the game against Maidenhead. Great result, obviously, and we're just dropping this mini-pod with our thoughts on the performance last night.
We've got a very special guest from the wider football podcast world, Matt Davies-Adams, who's come on to tell us why he thinks Everton are the hardest team to support in English football.
And we're going to preview the Fylde game at home on Saturday. So, Paul, 2-0 result, brilliant, but probably the best result of the night was turning up and seeing that the floodlights were on after all the rumours swirling throughout the day.
Yeah, we were hearing that there were bailiffs down at the club all day, as we did hear that we're in court, Basildon Magistrates Court, being faced with another challenge. This time it was with Empower, an electricity bill, and from what I'm hearing, it is a £500,000 bill that they are chasing. And it's been adjourned, and we're hearing that we're due back at Basildon Magistrates Court on the 3rd of October, the day before the big winding up date. So it's really bad. It does feel like literally the lights are going to go off and then we are going to fold. Hopefully I'm wrong, but it doesn't look good.
No, it really doesn't. It really doesn't. But last night, the team performance was amazing. The crowd were fantastic. And just talk us through that first half performance, Paul.
Oh, it was incredible. We talked about we needed that positive start, didn't we? And we got it. And we came out flying, absolutely. And we were just missing that little bit of luck in that final third, and we were peppering the goal. I thought Mooney in the first half was outstanding, really positive in his play going forward. Everyone put in a shift in that first half, and it was just a pleasure to watch.
Absolutely. Mooney stood out to me as well. He was really playing very, very wide, stretching the pitch, making it absolutely massive, and he got on the ball a lot. Every time he got on it, he was driving towards the goal. I thought he was very, very positive as well. Agree with you, really. Just that, that bit of quality right at the end to kind of steer it in or get a good ball in was just sort of lacking in that first half. But the football, the fluidity, the interchange, some of the one-touch passing was top quality, definitely better than National League quality.
Oh, yeah, 100%. And when you look at the people who came in as well, we're missing Harry Taylor. I can't believe they didn't overturn that red card. Ridiculous. Gus still off. And we look at Dimitri that came in. I think Cavmani was moving back into defence as well. Jack Wood up top. I thought he was unbelievable. And everyone put in a shift throughout that game. In the first half, just epitomised the whole match. They came out, they wanted to win, they played hard. And again, really unlucky not to go in at half-time, 0-0.
Yep. Second half came out, similar story really. I didn't think Maidenhead had anything really at Southend's goal the whole game. And Southend, similar story really, getting lots of crosses into the box. It did have that feeling though, didn't it? Approaching sort of 60, 70 minutes of we've got to make this dominance pay off, and then the penalty.
Well, yeah, I mean, Maidenhead came out, they did have a bit of possession, and I think that was our little wake-up call, because they came out fighting for the first, weren't they, 15 odd so minutes, but like you said, we turned it over, we started really drilling down on them, and then again, Jack Wood, brilliant, moving through the middle, got brought down for the penalty. Bridgie took it, smashed it down the middle. He wasn't missing that, was he? Absolutely not. And then again, but we didn't stay, but we didn't take the 1-0. We carried on. We wanted to kill the game off, which we did. And well, where's his goal? Unbelievable. The press that he created the goal, didn't he? He created his own goal. That press, the 1-2 with Bridgie, the double nutmeg. Oh my word. And then just the intelligence, getting that to that box and then curl it past the keeper, off the post, into the goal. Gazza would have loved it.
It was a brilliant goal. It was a brilliant goal. And in the ground, we couldn't tell that he'd done a double nutmeg until the video started going around on social media. If you've not seen it yet, it's over on all of our channels, so do check it out. Absolutely brilliant. Double nutmeg, fantastic finish, warranted for the performance. As the game wore on, even at 1-0, you could tell some of the players were very leggy. Cardwell in particular. That's the challenge, isn't it? With such a thin squad, you can really see that they're putting everything in, but they're running out of steam and not able to play the football that Kev wants them to play for the full 90 minutes.
Man, you could tell, like that last 10 minutes, and Harry, Noor Hussein, just the whole team. They weren't just playing for the fans. They weren't just playing for the club. They were playing for each other, weren't they? They literally gave everything. They left everything out on that pitch. They were falling down 5 minutes to go with cramp.
Yeah.
And they gave it all and kept that clean sheet. And, well, to have David Martin get man of the match without making one save just says it all about the team, didn't he? You know, he's got to thank the team for that, surely.
I thought it was a slightly ironic award for man of the match, given he didn't do much. But he played well enough. So the two emergency signings, one is Martin and the other is Mauro Vilhet.
Yes, we got him on dual registration from Hayes and Yedding, Portuguese national, and he came on, didn't look out of place at all. Got stuck in straight away, was involved in everything going forward. Really good tracking back, doing his defensive duties as well. And he looked really good. I think he could well be one for the future if we ever get out of this transfer embargo.
Absolutely, yeah. He did one particular sort of drive-in run over on the right wing where he looked really positive. He played a little 1-2 and he got in behind and then sort of played the ball behind one of our other attacking players. But generally very positive for a short cameo and hopefully bolsters that squad for the short term. And obviously we've talked about Dave Martin a little bit already, but his performance, Paul?
Oh, well, again, not much to do, but to step in because Colin injured at York. David has been training with us, from what I understand, and just to keep fit. And he signed on a non-contract basis, stepped in, and he's the son of Alvin Martin. We have that connection there. And David had a great career at West Ham, and MK Dons, and numerous other clubs. And he's just a safe pair of hands. He would be a great addition again. His experience would just help Colin so much as well. I think he's a player we could do with.
So there was more fan protest there, Paul, in the 25th minute. They were throwing stuff on the pitch. What was going on?
Well, yes, I couldn't quite figure out what was being thrown. My first instinct was it was wads of cash because we were quite up in that East End. And then upon review and seeing what was going on social media, it was rats.
Rats?
Toy rats. Yes, and there is which I think is going to be an iconic picture of our number 9, Harry Cardwell, walking off towards the West End, holding this rat by its tail, just looking down at it. And I think that just sums up everything about the protest that we've got going on. And the players weren't phased by it at all. They came on. The referee brought them over. He called them off twice. I'm not quite sure what was going on. I think fans were getting emotional again in the West End, well, all throughout the ground. There was a flare being let off as well. We need to raise the awareness of what is going on in our club. Our fans are desperate. We need people to hear what is happening. They need to know our story. And I don't blame the protests. And hopefully it gets us there in the media, the mainstream media.
Yeah, gets a bit of exposure for it. There was also that banner that went up as well, demanding that Ron goes. And yeah, just the general mood was very, very supportive of the team and very anti the ownership.
100%. Okay, welcome to Shrimperscast, and we have got football podcast royalty with us today. Good morning, Matt. How are we?
I'm all right, thank you. How are you guys doing?
Well, very well. We were at Roots Hall last night for the victory, much needed victory of Southend United off the foot of the table, 2-0 at home to Maidenhead. So you'll have to excuse my voice. We were a bit excited come final whistle. But Matt, we are a fairly new podcast. We have a lot of new listeners. Would you mind just introducing yourself and letting people know who you are and what you do?
Yeah, sure. So I'm a freelancer in football commentary and podcasting. So I work a lot for Chelsea for their in-house media, also for Forest, who's a team I support, and Leicester. And I do a lot of women's football as well. And I'm a podcaster. So I host a podcast about Chelsea for The Athletic and an independent one about the Football League. And I'm often heard on the Totally Football Show, which is where I raise the ire of Southend United supporters worldwide this week with my outrageous claim.
We will get to that in a moment, absolutely. But so you're a Nottingham Forest fan?
Yeah, that's right. I'm from Nottingham. I live back up here now. I lived in London for about 15 years. But yeah, I'm back up here now. So I'm able to get to a few games and stuff when I can get a ticket, which is hard at the moment. But yeah, I do feel some empathy with Southend because we have had pretty atrocious owners in the not too distant past. And yeah, a bit of a a bit of a nothing history, really, for 25 odd years or so up until the last couple of years. So, yeah, I know your pain, if not quite on the same extent.
We do have that connection with Nottingham Forest. And I'll have to ask you, so who's your favourite player to leave Southend to play for Nottingham Forest?
Oh, he was great, wasn't he? I mean, if we'd signed Stan Collymore instead of Robert Rosario when he was offered to us in the 92-93 season, we might not have got relegated from the Premier League. But yeah, he was amazing. That season when we got promoted, 93-94, he was the main man. Then he was great in the Premier League and obviously went off to Liverpool. But I think if you asked Stan Collymore about the best times of his career, if he was honest with himself, he might say Southend and Forest were actually the favourite times of his career. You know, obviously Liverpool was a massive club and Villa was his boyhood club, but I don't think he was ever happier playing football than he was at Forest and Southend.
Yeah, he did say, I think he's documented saying his best times were indeed at Southend and getting that move to Nottingham Forest. And that's fantastic. But what about Jason Lee then? He wasn't a bad signing either.
Yeah, he was decent for Forest. I mean, obviously he was kind of ridiculed in a lot of quarters, or in one specifically, which harmed his career. But yeah, he was a handy deputy for Collymore actually for a couple of seasons, and he lives in the same village as my parents do. So I always tell people that, and nobody's ever interested. But maybe you guys will be the first people to be so.
Now we are indeed. Well, we're hoping to get Jason on as well, so we'll pass him on his well wishes. So let's get on with this tweet, shall we? So Matt is one of the internet's foremost proponents of this incredible tweet that was put out about Everton being the worst managed club and the hardest team to support. Tell us a little bit about your theory there, Matt.
All right. So it is. I think that they are the worst team to support in English football. I think you would get no pleasure supporting Everton, and that you haven't done for many, many years. Now, I said this on the Totally Football show, and I kind of just threw it out there, and I ought to put the massive caveat that I have huge sympathy with what Southend United are going through at the moment. And obviously, you're experiencing a much more serious pain than Everton are. But I've had a look back at your recent history, and if we leave aside what's happening at the moment, which is obviously difficult to do, I can see that you've had promotions, you've won a trophy, you've been up and down, you've experienced a bit of what football's all about, the highs and lows, whereas Everton is just absolute stasis. Nothing ever happens at Everton. They haven't won anything since 1995. They got a takeover. They thought, brilliant, this guy's going to invest loads of money. He did it. He invested it absolutely horribly. They're about to be taken over by a group who've been proven inept at running football clubs all over the world. That's their salvation. They are permanently in the shadow of their rivals and always have been. They've had one academy player of note in the last few years, and they sold him last year. They never win at home. And they're managed by a guy who Everton supporters would not want to be managed by. They were managed by Carlo Ancelotti, actual Carlo Ancelotti recently. He couldn't turn them round. He left and went and won the Champions League. I just think that it is a miserable thing to be an Everton supporter.
Well, we like to give a run for your money on this one. So we're going to play the most depressing game in football. Depressing football, top trumps. And we're just going to, throw it at you here. So in the last, say, 25 years, how many times have Everton been in court faced with a winding up order for His and Her Majesty's Revenue and Customs?
I'm going to say 0.
We are up to 18. So I think that's 1-0 Southend. We'll take that. So in months, what's the maximum amount of time the Everton playing staff have gone for more than a month without payment of wages?
Again, I'm going to say 0.
That's 2-0 Southend. How many times has the owner of Everton, or any board member for that matter, been investigated for tax fraud?
I'm going to say 0, just for legal reasons, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
Okay, well, we'll take that. That's 3-0. All right. How many times have Everton had the water supply cut off at their training ground?
0.
That's 4-0 Southend. And how many times have Everton been docked points for financial irregularities?
0.
That's 5-0. Should we leave it there? I think we win.
All right, you win. Okay, let me throw a couple back at you. When was the last time Southend won a home game?
Last night.
Last night, right, okay.
It was 5-1. Right.
Everton have won 2 of their last 16 games. They've lost the last 3 at home without scoring a goal, and they've lost 6 of their last 7. So yeah, we'll take that. We'll take that as 1 back for Everton. But look, I take your point. I mean, I really am keeping everything crossed for you guys, and I hope that the next appearance in court works out successfully. I know that it might not, but I also feel like even if the worst happened and you got wound up, you create a Phoenix Club quickly. You'd have a nice rise up through the league, and you'll be back in the Football League. And guess where Everton will be? They'll be 17th in the Premier League, where they're going to be for the rest of time.
Well, there was at least they have a stadium. At least they have a new stadium being built. But there's a lot going on behind the scenes. We're looking at the council, looking to buy Roots Hall. So at least we have that base. We look at teams like Wimbledon and Macclesfield, and that have risen from the ashes. There are things in place, so we will have that Phoenix Club, and if it comes to it. But yeah, it's just tough times being a Southend United supporter at the moment, and of course an Everton fan. I do hope things turn around for Everton as well. Again, we have that connection there with Brett Angel, a former great player of ours, went on to play Everton. We had that great FA Cup game at Goodison Park, so we do have that connection there, and we do wish them well. But thank you very much for your time today, Matt, and really appreciate you coming on, and wish you all the very best.
Thank you for having me. My pleasure. And yeah, as I say, good luck. Keep fighting the good fight. There's nothing worse than having a bad custodian of your football club. But the thing about these people is they always leave eventually. And even if you have to repair the damage that they've done, as we've spoken about with the examples there, it is possible to do. So keep the faith, and I'm sure there's brighter days for Southend in the hopefully not too distant future.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. All the best.
Southend got through the game against Maidenhead with no extra injuries, which is obviously great news for Fylde coming up this Saturday. Paul, what are your thoughts on the Fylde game?
Well, yeah, getting away from Maidenhead without any injuries, I think it's just going to be fatigue. There was a bit of cramp going on there. Hopefully the boys can rest up well. And we look forward to Saturday at home to Fylde. I think we've got 3 points here. They've come up. The momentum hasn't been great with them. They're really struggling in the National League. They lost again last night away to Solihull. They're now at the foot of the table with our home victory, lifting us above them. So this is another huge game. And I just can't see anything other than 3 points.
Yeah, I think so. Got to think positively going in. Performance on Tuesday night from Southend was brilliant. They just got to carry that through and hope that the squad gets through fit and there are no injuries that kind of disrupt that momentum. In the last 6 games, Fylde have lost 5, drawn 1. And in total, in the league this season, they've scored only 6 goals and conceded 18. So
18?
Yeah, you've got to see this as a potential 3 points for Southend, but it does have that extra pressure on it, doesn't it? Because of the 10-point deduction. Every game against relegation rivals, if you like, is a big one. And this has, again, that feeling of a relegation 6-pointer, to use the cliche.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we're dragging this team down. We've beat Maidenhead. They're now in the mix. I mean, Oldham picked up some points. So there is a little bit of daylight now. But we win this, I think that puts us on 7, maybe. I think 7 points. So we're in touching distance of the, of the pack. But there's no one in this division here that I'm actually worried about. I look at all of the teams in there and we can beat anyone. Mm-hmm. Even with 12 players, 13 players, 15 players. And I think I looked at the table. Do you know where we'd be if we won? If without that 10-point deduction?
No, go on where?
We'll be in the playoffs, 6th, I think. Yeah, 6th.
Wow.
Incredible. If we won this, we could be in, again, we're taking on teams. We are playing well. We are beating them. I think there's no one in that Fylde squad that I'm worried about. I mean, I think, who's their danger man? Is it Horton?
Nick Horton, I think.
Yeah, 3 goals, but he hasn't scored in a long time. I think he hasn't scored in the last 3 or 4 games, I think. There's nothing there really to worry about. We just need to be, again, more positive, start that game well. And I'd like to see Jack Wood score. I think he deserves a goal after his performance last night. He won the penalty. I think he's playing really well. Young lad, very positive. He's going to be the one full of energy. Come on, Jack. Hat-trick. That wraps up our mini pod for you pod boppers, and we look forward to Saturday. I will be there in the East Stand, so if you see me, come say hello. I'll get you on the pod. I might even do a little interview. So, Steve, there we go. Here we go. Up the Blues.
Up the Blues.